Welcome to Between the Studs, and we have a very, very special guest to talk to and discuss and pick the brain of today. We have Jonathan from MiniSuperHeroesToday, a very popular YouTube channel. So please welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here. I've obviously heard about the shop for years. I got to come down for the first time in October of 2021, and now here we are, kicking off February at Atlanta Brick Co.
Awesome.
Thanks for having me, boys.
Thank you so much for coming back.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you for sitting down with us and letting us take an hour of your time.
I'm more than honored.
And Chris is here too. Yay!
Oh, hey.
You probably already know who this gentleman is, but for those few who don't, why don't you tell us how you got into What's the Draw of Lego, and then how you got onto YouTube?
Yeah, fantastic. Probably like a lot of Lego collectors, I've been collecting my whole life. The only time that I had my dark age was from like 8th grade into 9th grade, right around the time I took an interest in dating girls. And basically when the Batman DC superheroes wave came out in 2012, I was just like, man, these are so cool. I really want to get back into it. So I paid like a crazy amount for the Batman and Catwoman set to get it early. Why, I don't know. It was like a $12 set. But I paid something like $25 to get it early. And that opened everything up for me again. And then that summer, the 2012 Avengers wave just got me so into it. And I've not missed a Lego Marvel set since. I have them all from 2012 to present day. I have all the Tobey Maguire sets. Really, the only thing I'm missing at this point are the San Diego Comic-Con figures, and even those I'm chipping away at the stone now. So,
wow.
Yeah, so something I'm really excited about being at the store today is you guys have some really cool store displays and some other rare Marvel stuff, so I'm not going to give any spoilers here on this show. You'll have to watch the vlog afterward to, see what all comes home with me, but I'm definitely very excited about that. Yeah, as far as the YouTube side of things, it actually all started on Instagram back when I was in college. I had a tough time my freshman year at college, but I did take a handful of Lego figures with me, and I had them sitting on my desk my freshman year. And I really wanted to get into learning social media, because at the time, Instagram was still relatively new. As far as I know, TikTok wasn't really on anybody's radar yet. YouTube was big, but I wanted to learn, hashtag theory. Back then, it really mattered what time of day you posted, tagging, content creation. I really wanted to learn those things, and I challenged myself to say, okay, I want to make content with these 7 or 8 Lego figures only. It's all I've got here, and I want to create a Lego page on Instagram and have Batman fight SpongeBob, whatever, just silly stuff. But I really liked the idea of having an open world that I could create anything, but at the same time, I only had these 7 or 8 figures. Of course, my other hundreds of figures were at my parents' house still, but again, I loved the challenge of learning a new skill set with only what I had at my disposal at that time. Well, I guess fortunately, that was right before Age of Ultron came out. By the time I got started, it was like spring 2015. And when Age of Ultron came out and I started to buy those sets and make content around them, it really grew my Instagram presence. I remember going from 10 to 100 to 200, followers. And back then, for somebody that was really learning the ropes and didn't know anything, I'm like, man, like 200 followers, like, walking down the street like this,
You weren't doing the...
No. That would be a few years later.
Okay.
I've done a music video that's based on the Spider-Man movies, the Tobey movies, and in the guitar solo, I did that dance.
Nice.
So,
What do they call him, Bully Maguire?
Bully Maguire, that's right. But I started that page in March of 2015, and I challenged myself to create a new post every day. And I still have that streak going. I've never missed a day since March of 2015 on Instagram.
Congrats.
Yeah, thank you. So that grew into YouTube around 2018, around the time of Avengers Infinity War. And my inspiration for YouTube was on Instagram, I would create Purist custom figures, which of course is where you would take, like, one of my favorite Purist figures I ever put together, if you will, was Star-Lord. And you take the arms from the Rocket Raccoon polybag because they're dark red with printing on them. You put those on Star-Lord, and now all of a sudden Star-Lord has arm printing. So taking that concept and applying it to the Avengers Infinity War figures, which were a little bit, drab. So, there's so many printed parts out there. If you mix match them, you can make them look better without breaking any rules of, painting or Sharpie or blah, blah, blah. And I was doing that on Instagram for years. And I would always get people to message me and ask, like, hey, how do I do this figure? How do I do this figure? And I had the idea that, like, hey, if I turn these into YouTube videos, if somebody ever searches, how to build a better Thor, build a better Star-Lord, so on and so forth, maybe my video could get on people's radars. And boy, did it ever. It really grew very, very quickly. Of course, riding the excitement of Avengers Infinity War all the way into Endgame, and the momentum is, continued into today. And I love the Mini Superheroes Today journey, right? Because it started very intrinsically. It started on Instagram, and my goal was to teach myself things, but I quickly learned that it's really more about the community, and the fulfillment that I get from it now is getting to meet other Lego fans and getting to talk about news and set reviews and so much passion. And my life has been brought so much joy by the growth of my channels and my Mini Superheroes Today community that it started as one thing and it's ended up as something completely different, and I'm so grateful for that. I love my growing community, and I really feel like it's one of the great blessings in my life that it's turned into what it has. And, I'm just grateful to be here for the journey and keep creating content and, getting to do stuff like this.
Speaking of that, I met you for the first time a few weeks ago at Brick Fair, Alabama. And I saw you standing in front of our booth, signing autographs and taking pictures with a couple of looked like high school maybe boys and their moms. Mm-hmm. And you talked to them for 20, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
But you were really well poised and you interacted with them so well. You were all smiles, and a lot of people were just like, here's my autograph. Okay, like that's what I would do.
You just have a stamp.
Yeah, that's one way.
But you just looked like you were having so much fun. So in the flesh, you truly are excited to meet fans in the community that you have.
Well, the way I look at it is, how lucky are we that we live in today's day and age where a YouTube channel can give a platform to anybody. And when I say YouTube channel, I mean just in generality, a TikTok page, an Instagram page, whatever, wherever you want to grow your audience. What a great time we live that, we can connect via the internet, especially after the last 18 months or so, as tough of things have been for people, to shift digitally. Mm-hmm. Here we have this great community and then sub-community. Like, you've got the Lego community, but then you've got the Ninjago fans, the superhero fans, the Star Wars fans. And the way I look at it is, what an amazing time it is for us to be able to connect with those people, but maybe on a personal level, what an amazing honor it is to have a growing community and have people that are part of, what I'm doing and the content I'm putting out, that, I can create a place for people to come together and talk about Lego superheroes, specifically, of course, talk about other things, but, it's just one of the great blessings of my life, if I could say it again, that to be in a position that, there are fans and subscribers that, want to talk to me, and to be able to give back in that way. It's just such a huge honor, and, to get to do stuff like this is a pretty big honor too. So, I come at everything I do from a place of gratitude. If you watch a lot of my purist custom videos to my reviews to news, it's very rare that you hear me say anything negative. Because at the end of the day, even if you're reviewing the worst Lego set that has come out this year, there's still a cool minifigure with it, or there's still cool parts that you can rearrange into something else. Because the beauty of Lego is that, yes, you buy a set and it's what's on the box, but you can rearrange it and turn it into anything. And I just think that's a great testament for life, and it's great values to learn, especially for, the younger members of my community that, can get that instilled from a young age. So I really come at everything I do from a place of gratitude, and it's a huge honor to get to be a place of positivity for, the people that hang out on my channels. Lego does so much for us, from creativity to community to, teaching economics of, I need this much, I got to save up this much, da-da-da. There's just so much value to it. And other than putting yourself in a financial black hole from time to time, there are no downsides to it,
Yeah.
So I'm a big believer in this mindset. There are people that say I have to do this, and there are people that say I get to do this.
Yeah.
So you could get up every day and say, I have to go to my Lego store, I have to sell Lego sets, I have to piece together this crazy stuff in the basement. Or you could come at it and say, I get to do this. You know, what a huge honor it is.
Yeah.
You know, specifically speaking to the three of us, that we get to work in a field that we're so passionate about. We've turned our hobby into a monetization. And that's not to say for people watching that you have to turn your Lego hobby into a monetization, but, you know, thinking about things from a standpoint of I have to do this versus I get to do this is a life-changing philosophy.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you're young and that doesn't sit with you now, think about it.
Yeah.
I promise it'll come back later.
Yes. And you do YouTube and Instagram and all that. That is your job now, right? Correct?
I talk about my life as a triangle because I do kind of three different things. So yes, Lego and YouTube and content creation takes up a very, very big portion of my time and my focus. But I also do music. I'm a 60s inspired singer-songwriter. Think like Beatles, Beach Boys, kind of Tom Petty 12-string guitar vibe. And I put out original music. I put out my first album in 2019, my second in 2021, and my third will probably come out in 2023. So doing an every other year thing. But if you like 60s music, you'll definitely like the stuff I do.
Very cool.
And
That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you. And then I've also taken what I've learned from MiniSuperHeroes Today, be it, the YouTube algorithm, content creation, all of that stuff, and I've turned it into a social media consultancy where I consult with other creators, small businesses, entertainment personalities on, best practices for them, kind of help them either get started, get a kickstart from where they're at, and, it's basically sharing the knowledge that I've learned here. So on any given day, I'm focusing on one of those three things, but every day of my life has some combination of those three in it.
So what did you go to college for?
Yeah, so I went to Belmont University in Nashville, Tennessee, which is where I live now. And I went in studying music business, but I came out with a major in public relations with a minor in music business because I knew I wanted to do something in social media. And so here I am now.
Okay, good. So that kind of is what you wanted to do.
Absolutely.
Is what you're doing now. Okay.
A lot of the, motivational speakers I've listened to, business coaches and things like that, aside from Lego content, that's what I watch a lot of. It's just, mindset stuff and things like that. And a lot of them have a common theme of talking about, what is it that you wanted to do as a kid? And then really get to the root of that and figure out how to do that as an adult. So, if you wanted to be an astronaut as a kid, for example, well, there are very, very few astronauts that truly go into space. But what is it about being an astronaut that you wanted? Was it the sense of adventure? Was it the love of science? It could be anything. Get to that root and then figure out how to do that as an adult. And that's a big key to, happiness, and, self-fulfillment and things like that. So I'm just very grateful that, mine ended up being something as exciting as Lego. And that's not to say it should be that way for everybody, but finding out what makes you passionate and what gets you excited in life can help get you to those steps. Maybe it's Lego, maybe it's not, but that's the beauty of life, is figuring that out.
How do you keep the content fresh for you and still innovative on your channel? I know some YouTubers talk about the YouTube treadmill. It's like, I gotta make a video today because I want to make my house payment. How do you, being in it so long, how do you keep it fresh and still get excited about it?
Yeah, I was just having this conversation with my friend Nate, who drove down here with me to hang out. We were talking about this over lunch, that when I started MiniSuperHeroes Today, it started off, again, I kind of said this earlier too, very inwardly. I wanted to learn social media. I wanted to have the takeaways from it. But over time, it's evolved to, it's not so much about what I get out of it, but it's actually what I give. In a lot of relationships, that's the case. Relationships that fail are the ones that you go into thinking, what can I take away? The ones that succeed are where you walk in and say, what can I give? What can I give to this person, this business, my boss, my spouse, right? When you can think about what it is that you're bringing to the table as opposed to taking away, that's how things change. And of course, when I started this, it was 2015, so I was, 19, 20. I have to do the math, but that's a very 19, 20-year-old mindset of like, I want to be this and I want to take away this. But as I've gotten older and I've refocused it, I'm kind of saying things that I said before, but how fortunate I am that, I have this platform that's grown, and how fortunate I am that I am in a place that I can give positivity to people in videos that I do every day. And, Instagram posts and TikToks and so on and so forth. So coming full circle to your question, how do I avoid the YouTube treadmill? I never look at it as work, even though it is. And it definitely is. I sometimes say tongue-in-cheek that I play with Lego for a living. I'm sure you guys can say that too. But I never look at it as work. I look at it as another opportunity that I can put positivity into somebody's day. And like I said, if you go through my videos, it is hard to find places where I'm negative.
Yeah.
Because even on the worst set, I can find something positive to say about it. Now, I'm not going to go tell you to buy a $400 set that's terrible, but I will tell you that if you have $400 to spend and you like this theme, maybe it's for you. There's always ways that you can frame things to take the best parts of them, take the best parts away instead of focusing on the bad.
Chris talks about that a lot too. We love all Lego here, and Jack Stone. We're like, yeah, bring us Jack Stone. He had his own little niche,
Yep.
Everything. It's all Lego, and it's all awesome.
Yeah.
We love finding those rare parts and things like that too.
And I was watching one of your videos yesterday where you were talking about the new Mjolnir, Thor's hammer.
Yeah.
And you had it compared to the kind of not side by side, but you were just comparing it verbally to the Bricker Builds Mjolnir.
I love those guys.
And the Bricker Builds one, I would imagine, is just so much bigger and stronger. It's just a lot higher piece count. It's probably it's probably 4 to 5 times as many pieces. But you didn't say anything bad about either one of them, and and it's like, hey, this is all positive stuff about this one, and then this is the positive stuff about that one. And usually when you're making a comparison, you're gonna say one's better than the other. I would have done that, but you didn't.
I appreciate that.
You didn't say it at all. I was like, so which one? Which one are you choosing?
Yeah.
You didn't. You said, here's the positives of that, and here's the positives of that. And I thought that was very interesting, and that made me like watching it.
Oh, thank you. Life's not black and white. Even the toughest things we go through, there's a lesson you can take away from it. So, even when I'm in difficult times, I'm really looking at, okay, this is hard, whatever the case may be, but on the other side of it, what will I have learned by going through this experience? Yeah. And again, not to jump from Lego Mjolnir to philosophy again, but the point is that it's all about the focus,
Yeah.
I would like to ask you, you are part of the Lego Land program.
Yes.
And if you don't mind explaining for anyone who may not know what LAN is, what the acronym stands for, and how it is different for media than it is for lug groups and stuff like that.
Sure. Let me crack my knuckles.
Okay, here we go. I got my popcorn.
Yeah. So LAN stands for Lego Ambassador Network. They couldn't have picked any shorter words for that. It's a mouthful every time. But basically, it's exactly that. It's Lego's network to work with ambassadors for Lego. So we're not Lego employees. There's not really a contract per se. But basically, it's a way, at least for my role being an influencer, if I could use the term so willingly, it's a way for Lego to communicate with their audience through us as influencers. So, for example, a big thing that they do is they provide us with press releases before sets come out. Now, not every set every time, but a lot of times, before a new wave of Marvel or Star Wars or something like that is released, 48 to 24 hours before the embargo lift, when, the images go up on Amazon and whatever, they let us know about that. We get a press release and things like that. So it's a really nice way for Lego to be able to take their internal communications, their PR, if you will, and kind of push their message out through platforms like us. I'm not breaking any bylaws by explaining that, but I don't know how much more detail I can go into on that. But that being said, there's also the benefit of what's called community support. Now, that kind of breaks down in two ways. On one side of community support, Lego will provide us with specific sets. For example, I'm super grateful that Lego considers me for most of their superheroes releases to do early set reviews. So sometimes that's 2 or 3 days before the set comes out. Sometimes it's 2 or 3 weeks. Just depends on the set, the movie, blah, blah, blah. But Lego kind of knows their ambassadors and knows which ones are going to be a good fit. For example, I've never been sent and probably will never be sent a Friends set. Not to say Friends isn't a good theme, it's just not the focus of my channel. So Lego knows that there are other channels that's a better fit for, versus like a Star Wars channel probably isn't going to get a Marvel offer. But yeah, no, that's kind of the breakdown of it. And of course, awesome benefit is the direct communication with Lego. Should we ever have questions about something upcoming? Now, there are obviously limits. Like, I can't be like, hey, Lego, what sets are you releasing through the end of the year? They it's kind of like a cat, right? Like, they come to you, you don't come to the cat kind of thing. So it's very much in that vein. But no, it's been amazing. And I can't tell you what the criteria to get into LAN is because I don't know it. What I do know is that, Lego content creators can apply to LAN through their website, and there's like a board meeting that they have where they literally look at all the applicants that come in, and they kind of weigh the pros and cons of bringing them into the platform. So, I'm very grateful that I've, been a part of it now since like 2020 or so, and I've gotten to do some incredible things with and for LAN. Probably my favorite being that I was one of the very few people to get the Daily Bugle early. And so not only did I get to see it early and hold it early, but I got to review it early. And, obviously for the Lego Superheroes theme, I mean, that's an all-timer. I mean, I think there's no debate that that's a fan favorite forever. And so to be able to be a part of that rollout and to get to answer questions for people and be like, hey, here's what Daredevil and Punisher look like for the first time. In my Lego content creator journey, it's really something I'll never forget. And it all circles back to a place of gratitude for, my community that continues to grow. And, basically Lego looks at MiniSuperHeroes Today as a community and says, hey, there are a lot of active Lego fans here that love Lego superheroes. Therefore, it's a great fit for LAN for us to provide this community with sets and news and such early so that we can better communicate with the Lego superheroes fans out there. So to my followers that watch, I know I've said this in videos before, but really the LAN acceptance isn't as much about me as it is you guys. You guys coming to my videos, being a part of my community, being followers, subscribers, and all of that are what make it possible. And of course, I'll be grateful for the rest of my life for, this chapter of being included in all that. But I never want to come at it and say, oh, it's because I'm such a great content creator. Or, oh, my videos are so amazing. While there may be an element of that that's true, the real value is the people that are a part of the community and watch. And, I will just always be grateful for that. Awesome. And, I always hope to deliver on
that. What genius advertising for Lego, too. I mean, it's virtually free advertising. And they're reaching so many people. It's just amazing. And that didn't even exist, 15 years ago.
Yeah. And I'm not a selfish person. I hope that comes across in our talk here, but I suppose to be selfish for the next 10 words out of my mouth is, it is a wonderful thing to, be the benefactor and, get these sets early and things like that. But I do come back at it, when I sit down to film a video, whether it's LAN or not, I think if I was like talking to my best friend and I was like, oh man, dude, look at the Daily Bugle. We've got Daredevil, we've got Punisher, we've got all these Spider-Man villains. And I literally sit down to make all my content as if I was talking my best friend through it. And I do feel like that comes across in the content. And I think that Lego has, resonated with that as well. And again, that all just comes back to having amazing community members that are a part of that and help, bolster the community to get larger and larger. And, that brings value to Lego because they reach more people through me and it helps me grow and everybody wins.
Yeah. And so we don't know the exact criteria, but we can smartly assume certain things. You probably have to have a certain channel subscriber size. I assume certain amount of traffic. Who knows?
Sure.
They probably have numbers, designated that they won't even look at you unless you're past certain numbers. I'm guessing.
It's hard to say, but for anybody that might be watching this and, like, oh, what's my shot? None of us can tell you. Basically, you just have to apply and see what happens. I will say the only commonality that I've noticed is that, and I could be wrong, I only know of one person that is like exclusively a TikToker that has gotten in. Everybody else is YouTubers and or blog writers. So I could be wrong. My knowledge is limited, of course, as all of ours is in life. But I don't know of anybody that's like just an Instagrammer that got in, or like somebody that's just a Twitter Lego account. It's not to say it's not possible. It's not to say it doesn't happen.
Right.
Just, people ask me, what can I do to get in? I can't tell you. All you can do is grow your community and continue to, apply and, hope that you strike a chord with Lego. But truth be told, I can't tell you what the magic number is. It's just that I've noticed that there aren't any of that type.
And we can also safely assume that you said they review your channel and videos and stuff, so you probably have to be pretty positive or at least leaning positive.
Lego,
I know some people are more honest. Like I've heard Jang Bricks has been reached out to several times, and he has famously denied it.
Yeah.
Several times. And I think he's more middle of the road. He'll tell you if he doesn't like it. I'm
gonna say that's not true. I'm going to debunk this land myth that you always have to be positive about Lego, because when I got in, you go through something called onboarding, where, they talk to you about the program, expectations, do's, don'ts, da-da-da. The biggest takeaway I had from that is the gentleman that was onboarding me said, don't change anything about what you're doing.
Okay.
Yeah. He said, if we send you a set and you don't like it, say it.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. He said, be completely honest. Don't change your content style. Don't change your voice. Don't change the way you talk about things, because they want honesty. So what happens is, let's say they send me this set, for example, new, blah, blah, blah. I have to fill out a report afterward and give my overall thoughts on the set, but also what my community thought of the set, and, da-da-da. And so I perhaps famously say that I do read every comment on my channel. I read them all. Now, if you comment today on a video from a year and a half ago, I may not read that one, admittedly, but for my new videos, I read every comment for the first 48, 72 hours.
Wow.
Of course, there's only so much time in the day, so I can't reply to everybody, but I do try to, at least interact as much as possible. But I swear, I'll tell you when I stop doing it. I do read every comment on my channel for the first 48 to 72 hours. So I report that stuff back to Lego. So if I'm reviewing this set and I really like it, but my community trashes it, it's my responsibility to go back to Lego and tell them that, because that's where the value comes in for them to continue to critique the themes, critique the sets going forward, and da-da-da. And I don't know how much I can say beyond that.
Sure.
But the general idea being that Lego does expect a very honest review and report after the content is made.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it is good to know, and I'm not breaking any bylaws by sharing that, but it is super, super important that I think the community members know that, at least with me, you're not just watching a YouTube channel. I am listening to what you say, and when it's applicable, I report that back to Lego. So,
That's interesting, because unless I'm wrong, unless he's changed his mind, I always heard Jang say that the reason why he has denied it is because he doesn't want to feel like he's tied to a corporation, or that his content might be influenced. He doesn't want people to even perceive that. But you're saying, direct from Lego, they told you don't change anything.
Yeah.
Be honest. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Now, that being said, I can totally see where Jang's coming from, and as a longtime fan, of course, I respect his opinion. But on the other side, I will admit, to Jang's point, Lego sends me the Daily Bugle. It's hard to find a flaw with that when I got my favorite set of all time early for free. And I'm not saying that like, oh, look at me, but the reality of it.
There might be unintended bias.
Why do you think they put Blade in the Daily Bugle?
I know why. So the Daily Bugle is a very unique Marvel set in that it's really the only one that is truly geared toward adult collectors, by price, by building complexity, by scarcity of only being at the Lego store, right? I mean, I can't think of another one that is on that level for Lego Marvel specifically. There's Batman, like the 89, blah, blah, blah. I'm talking specifically Marvel. And so because of that, that's why they were able to add those kind of more rated R characters like, Daredevil, Punisher, Blade. So in a lot of ways, it was like their one shot to slide them into a set. So I really think that's why.
Now or never.
Yeah, it's now or never.
I kind of thought with Morbius coming out, being a vampire, that maybe Blade would show up in the end credits, maybe. as coming for Morbius 2.
Yeah.
It's coming for him, you know.
It could be.
That would be awesome, you know.
The only trick is Marvel Studios owns Blade, Morbius is Sony, but they are playing in the same sandbox now, so it's possible.
All right.
It's totally possible.
Okay.
And we already got the Blade teaser in the post-credits of Eternals, so we know Blade is in the MCU proper, but maybe we'll find out Morbius is in the MCU too. Who knows? Who knows?
All right.
I just saw Eternals this past weekend. I must not have watched all the ways to the end.
It's a post-credits.
Darn it.
Okay.
It's on Disney Plus now, so it's
just
easy.
fast forward to the end.
Yep.
So back to Lan, and I promise I'll get off the subject. I'm sorry. I think a lot of us have already guessed, but what is the best benefit? What is the most awesome thing about being part of Land, other than, like you said, the direct line? You get sets for free, right? You said.
Not everything.
Okay.
Yeah, not everything.
Yeah, could you explain how that works?
Yeah, sure. A couple times a year, we're able to request sets, and basically, as long as it's in stock from Lego, we can do that. Now, it's up to a certain dollar amount, which I don't, feel comfortable disclosing. Just for, there are certain things I can't say about Land, but there are things I can, and so I'll share what I can. But if you want to know the answers, you should work extra hard on your YouTube channel this year to get into Land and find out. So I'll say that. But with that being said, the question being, what's the best benefit? Yeah. It's a tough thing to answer, but I'm honestly going to say, I don't want this to seem cheesy, but I take such pride in being able to be a voice for my community to Lego that it doesn't feel like I'm screaming at a glass ceiling anymore.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like I'm like, give us arm printing, give us leg printing. I can now take that and say that to Lego. Now, has anything changed? Unfortunately not. But I get to take it to them, and I know that there's a board of people that review my reports, and I know that it's being heard. So that matters. That really matters. Feeling like you're heard matters. Whether it's in this hobby, in your life at home, at work, whatever. Feeling heard matters, and knowing that I get to be, is conduit the right word? That I get to be that for my community and for the people that watch my channel.
So
there's no feeling to describe.
How many times have you told Lego that everybody's asking for Indiana Jones sets?
Truth be told, I have not done that, but I know what I need to do when I get home. I need to do that.
Is there a disadvantage to being in LAN? Some of the stuff I've heard from other YouTubers is that there's a very small window by the time they send you the set and by the time they expect a YouTube video about it, sometimes can be very tight, and they're in the middle of doing something else, and then they get the set in the mail, like, okay, I gotta stop everything and do this instead.
Interestingly, going back to the Daily Bugle, I had a video gig that I was hired to do videography in Alabama when the Daily Bugle was sent to my house. So it arrived while I was not home, and I'm like, oh no, could a porch pirate steal it? So I had a neighbor hold it for me, but that was the hardest drive home, because it's like, I'm driving home from Alabama, like a 4-hour drive, and I know it's waiting for me, I gotta write a song about that someday, that feeling. I've never felt that feeling otherwise, it could be like my running down a dream type thing.
Yeah.
That being said, I think that is a fair critique, that sometimes the windows are pretty short, but again, I'm gonna come at it out of a place of gratitude. If that's the worst thing I have to complain about, things are pretty good in my world, so I would never even dream of complaining about that, even if that window can be tight. I can totally understand, Justin's rationalization behind that, to have no barriers versus having to be in them. I totally understand that.
Okay.
Yeah.
When are we applying, Chris?
I was thinking about that, and, if the purpose of it is to review the set, that's not really what we do.
No, that's not why people come to us.
That's what Jonathan does. You know, we don't do that.
However, I will say, if you ever want to, not necessarily sponsor a review, but if you want me to ever do one on this table in this room,
oh, that would be
we could do
a
that.
Guest reviewer, awesome, yes.
Yeah, we'll see.
We do reviews. Sorry. We have posted reviews on this channel, but it's always like old stuff or rare stuff.
Sure.
One of our more popular ones, for some reason, is the Viking ship. And I think it was the skit in the beginning, I don't know. And then we did all the Scooby-Doo sets.
Cool.
As a video, so that one's pretty popular. But yeah, we don't do new stuff intentionally.
Sure.
Because that's not what we do here.
Yeah, there are people that cover that, and that's all good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you guys get so many, unbelievably rare, once in a lifetime type things that come through that, that can be your niche.
That's our niche. Yeah.
And that's the biggest takeaway I'll say to anybody that's watching this that wants to become a Lego content creator. The advice that I give to people is I say, okay, make a list of everybody that you watch regularly when it comes to Lego content. I mean, seriously, write it out. Top 5, top 10 that you watch. And think about all the things that they do and then do none of those things.
Yes.
Because I'm not saying this to put anybody down, but there's already a lot of channels that just talk about Lego Star Wars. There's already a lot of channels that just talk about this theme or that theme. And that's great, but as individuals, the amazing thing is that we get to add our own voice and perspective to anything we bring in life. So think about what it is about Lego that excites you. Is it, alternative builds of a set? I think that's a niche that is criminally under tapped into, if that makes sense. There should be so many cool alternative build sets that take the re-brickable idea of saying okay, I'm going to pour out these pieces to, for example, I did one for the 501st Battle Pack. Pour out all the pieces and rebuild something completely different using only pieces from that set. That's an idea that I think is just criminally underused, and I think that, could be ripe for the taking if
and they
the
used
right
to
channel.
Put it on the boxes.
They did. So Lego wants you to do it, Well, at least they did. But yeah, no, I that's my biggest takeaway is to look at all the people you watch and find something completely different to do than those people because it's already being done.
Yes.
And it's not to say that you can't do the same thing. It's not to say you can't review sets, can't build custom figures. I encourage you to do that, but figure out your way to do that.
Yes.
And how to add your specific voice to it. And I promise you, if you do that, find a niche you're passionate about, find a way to add your voice and do something that isn't already being done and be consistent with it, I promise you it will take off.
Very good advice. Thank you.
So, who's your favorite superhero?
My favorite superhero, this is a multifaceted answer. So in the comic books, it is Hank Pym's Ant-Man. I like that he's a character that is written with a lot of dark personality traits. And if you know the comics, you know what I'm talking about. But I like that he overcomes that in the long run. He's a very difficult character to work with for the other Avengers. They don't always see eye to eye, but I like that he's a brilliant thinker, he's an innovator, and he always brings something unique to the team that nobody else brings. So I really like that about him. I also like that paired against his partner, Hope Van Dyne, he's the reluctant superhero. Hope can't wait to put the wasp wings on again and get back out there and, fight crime. Hank does it because it's the burden of his genius. I just think that is such a brilliant way to write characters in 1963 when they debuted. Just brilliant. So I love Hank Pym in the comics. Of course, Captain America is great in the comics too. Spider-Man's great, but I just love that about specifically Hank Pym's Ant-Man. In the movies, it is Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. Always, 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 always number one. All 3 of his movies mean so much to me, and they came out at points of my life where I needed those movies. I went through some tough things as a kid that those movies helped me keep my chin up on days that, I didn't know if I could do it. And, if we could have a whole discussion on that. But the fact that, No Way Home has brought those movies to the forefront again, and, now a whole new generation of people are getting to experience those movies, it means a lot to me. And, I just rewatch those movies and it puts me back at those ages. The first Spider-Man movie got me into superheroes, which is the, butterfly effect that leads to me sitting in a room like this talking about Lego because of superheroes. So many amazing things and so many great fortunate blessings that have come to me are because of that movie's role in my life. And, it will always be, even though Spider-Man 2 is my favorite, the first one is the domino that knocked over all the rest.
Wow.
That's great.
I want to know, what is your favorite superhero and what got you into superheroes and comic books and stuff? Was it your brothers just because they were
so I had 2 older brothers. We're all close in age, 2 years apart. And we grew up in the 80s, and comics were huge in the 80s. So
you got Secret Wars. You got so
Secret
many good
Wars
ones.
was huge. They had the Secret Wars action figures, which I still have a couple sealed.
Yeah.
Including Kang, who all of a sudden has now come back
That figure will be worth a fortune in about 3 years.
Yeah. So my oldest brother's was always Iron Man. The middle brother got to choose Spider-Man. So those two were off limits for me. So I would chose Captain America. Yep. And we all had subscriptions to comics where they would send them to you in the mail. They would always get beat up. I mean, they would just put them in a bag and send them to you, right? And my oldest brother got Iron Man, my other one Spider-Man, and I got Captain America and Daredevil. And so those were my two favorites, Captain America. I mean, who wouldn't want to be Captain America? I mean, he's
the ultimate
awesome.
American.
You know, he is. And unfortunately, he just became so big, and then it's like everybody loves it, you just, it's kind of like
it loses its cool factor.
It does lose its
but you still got Daredevil.
Cool factor. I still love Captain America, and actually I almost love him more after seeing Falcon Winter Soldier. I think they did a great job with it. I'm glad how Marvel ended Captain America's career. He didn't get shot on the courthouse steps like in the comic book. Which was pretty rough. And then, so I still like Captain America. He's still my favorite.
Amazing.
Okay. You guys are both very Marvel leaning,
yes,
I guess.
Yeah.
Are you guys DC fans? I know the answer for Chris.
Yeah, I'm definitely a DC fan, just not as much.
Okay.
I like the pre-DC EU movies the most. You know, how can you go wrong with Christopher Reeve's Superman, the Dark Knight trilogy, 1989 Batman, you know, just so many great ones. Adam West Batman, you know, just so many awesome iterations. And I'll say this, speaking to DC, I think as far as comic accuracy goes, every Batman villain from the 66 Adam West series is the best comic representation of every Batman villain.
Yeah, you're right.
You know, how are you going to beat Frank Gorshin's Riddler? And just too good. Yeah, I think that the beautiful thing of Marvel and DC is that you don't really have to pick a side. They both offer very different flavors. And if you love both, that's great. If you love one more than the other, that's great too. If you like a little bit from each, you know, not everything from each, but a little bit. I just love that they're not, you know, two sides of the same coin. Two-Face reference. But I just love that you truly have your heads and tails. They are very different, and they offer different things for different superhero fans.
And what's cool about... So I grew up in the 80s playing with action figures because they didn't have Marvel or DC Lego, right? So playing with action figures, my action figures, Marvel and DC always fought. Always fought together. And that's the wonderful thing about Lego, too, is that everything lives in the same universe. You know, so Marvel and DC are still all in the same Lego universe, which is wonderful about Lego, uniting them, you know?
I love that.
Well, I want to know how well you know your superheroes.
All right.
So I've got some trivia here for you.
It's our game show portion.
This is a magic Lego hat. This is actually from Target.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
the snowman.
And the magical carrot here.
All right,
does he have to close his eyes, or?
Okay, so these are mostly torsos, but we got some legs. There's two specific superheroes, and I specifically chose these because I thought they should be relatively difficult.
Okay.
Okay. Go ahead and choose one.
Okay. I'm gonna one up. I'm gonna see if I can give you the year in addition to the character.
Oh.
I'm gonna up the ante.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Gauntlet has
no
been
idea.
thrown.
I think he's gonna get them all.
I know it's a pair of legs. Okay. These legs are Scarlet Witch's legs from 2015 Age of Ultron.
Have you ever used those legs in Purist Customs?
All the time.
So.
All right, round two. Let's see who we got. It's another pair of legs. And these are the Mandarin's legs from Iron Man 3, 2013.
Wow. No hesitation at all. I mean, just spitting it out. All
got
right,
a torso this time. All right. This is Red She-Hulk. And I believe she is from 2017. Yeah. I've got a torso in my hand here. And this is... It's kind of blown out, but it is Pepper Potts from Iron Man 3, 2013.
Very good.
All right. We've got... This is a curveball one, but I know what it is. This is Christmas Iron Man, Ugly Sweater Iron Man from the 2021 Avengers.
Nice.
here we've got one of my all-time favorites for making customs. This is the Rocket Raccoon polybag version from 2014.
Okay.
And he's got the great printed arms on there. Let's see. We've got a torso here with no hands. Trick shot. This is a tricky one, but I'm pretty sure... So let me show it here so you guys can see. I'm pretty sure that this is the Mandarin, and this is what the beard goes over top.
Yes.
Yeah, so you see the green and you see the bullet belt.
Yeah.
So the reason why this is tricky is because you're used to seeing him with the big beard piece that covers up most of the torso, but nothing gets past me. Okay, here is a tricky one, and it's a multiple choice. So it is a trans orange head. It's probably not going to show up very well on camera, but there are some dots kind of where the cheeks would be, and this goes to Ultron from Avengers Age of Ultron, but it's specifically on like the silver Ultron from the Quinjet, but it was also used on the Iron Legion figures.
Man.
It's like he really knows minifigures or something.
Yeah.
All right, this one is tricky as well, and I think that this one could be a curveball, but here it is. I think a lot of people would knee-jerk and say that this is Ghost from Ant-Man and the Wasp, but those people would be wrong because this is the Super Adaptoid from Lego Marvel.
I thought it was Ghost because so this came out of our graveyard that I was showing you earlier, and I thought it was Ghost because it just had the gray legs with it, no head. So that I got.
Yep,
tricked.
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure
one.
that's the Super Adaptoid.
Yeah, I think you're right.
If that's not the Super Adaptoid, I'll buy a $5 minifig of your choice to, up the ante. All right. I think that's our last piece, and this is a red torso with some silver there, and that is from Marvel's Beetle from the Daily Bugle.
Yeah, the first Daily Bugle.
First Daily Bugle, that's correct.
Second Daily Bugle.
Nope, the first one. They've only done two. They did a
Okay.
small one, and then, the Mac Daddy one. So, thank you very much.
That is awesome.
Yeah, you don't do a YouTube channel about custom figures for a few years and not be able to do these backwards in your sleep upside down.
Wow. Is there a certain media you prefer your superheroes? Are you more into the movies? Do you also read the comic books? And a big thing that I don't think a lot of people know, the DC straight-to-video or straight-to-disc adult cartoons are killing it. They are so good.
But
Do you
what's
consume-
even better than that is the straight-to-DVD Lego movies.
Yes.
No, I'm just kidding. Some of them are pretty funny, but I'm just kidding. I like the movies because just with the lifestyle that I lead, being very busy, I've got my hands on lots of things. I love the idea that I can say, okay, I can sit down, set aside 2 hours with my friends at the movie theater and watch Shang-Chi. And, if I want to go back and watch that later, that's awesome. If I don't, that's awesome. Although I love rewatching that movie. That movie blew me away. But the point being, with a comic book, especially if you're reading new comics, it's a long-term commitment. You got to set aside 45 minutes to read the book every so often when they come out. Or if you're going to go back and read the old stuff, you really got to go back and read the old stuff. So, I prefer the movies, but I understand why people like, different mediums. They like them all. They don't like certain ones. Yeah.
Justin, who's your favorite superhero?
Yeah, we didn't ask.
The Flash.
Cool.
I played The Flash at Six Flags as a job. So
That
it
is
was like
so
I had to
cool.
do research on him, when kids would ask you questions and stuff. And got very good at interacting as the Flash, other than the super speed. But I like this character of all the staunch, very serious Wonder Woman, Batman, Superman. Flash is kind of the jokester. He's the more relaxed dude.
He's the Spider-Man of the Justice League.
Yes, and I just so attached to that. Like, yeah, he takes his job seriously, but he also has a little more fun with it.
Right.
And
That's cool.
I really attached
So
to
were you
the
a Flash fan before you started acting as the Flash?
I knew who the Flash was because my earliest introduction into superheroes was Super Friends. I was a little too young to really remember the show, but I had some of the figures. I had the old original Super Friends Batmobile. And then, of course, X-Men was my next, the 90s X-Men was my next big introduction to superheroes. So I liked them all. I knew who he was, but once I got that job at Six Flags, then they're like, okay, you only fit the Flash. You're the Flash. because they had to take pictures of us in costume and
That
send
is
it
so
to
cool you got to
corporate
do that.
and stuff. But yeah, so I like the Flash because it was thrust upon me, and I felt like, no, this guy's pretty cool.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's super cool.
But yeah. But that's my favorite. Never got into the comic books too much. My brother and I kind of shared some of the older stuff when they bound the entire story as one, because I don't like chasing the story. Just give me the graphic, the full story bound into one thing. So we have several of those that we share between us. And so I've read a lot of those, Flashpoint and some of those bigger stories. And so I'm familiar with that. And I would like to take this time to get on my soapbox and defend DC a little bit, because everyone, even in the store, like everyone likes Marvel. People like to Chris is not like this. Chris, I think, likes both evenly.
I like both.
And you like both.
I wouldn't say evenly.
Okay.
But I like both.
I would say the same answer. Yeah.
But I think DC gets a bad rap because the movies aren't as good. We can all agree with that. I like DC. I can agree. The movies aren't as good. They're more geared toward adults. The sets don't sell as well because they're more geared to adults. But there's still some really cool stuff in DC. And I keep telling people there are amazing straight-to-disc, adult-centered DC cartoon movies. And I know that sounds crazy, but adult cartoon movies, but they are amazing. And they're really well reviewed. You don't have to take my word for it. If you read reviews of them, everyone says they're awesome. A lot of them fit into a contained universe, so they're continuing a story.
That's cool.
And some of them retell Flashpoint, New Frontier, and some of those more famous comic book. They had Batman Year One. They had the Frank Miller Batman.
Yep.
They made that into a movie. They have to condense it down and change it. But
I like the Batman Ninja. That was pretty interesting.
yes, Batman versus the Ninja Turtles. That was another one.
Yeah,
it was really good.
They did Batman Ninja, where like Batman, Robin, Joker all get sent back to like ancient ninja times. That was pretty good.
That was a 3D rendered, right? That was a 3D rendered one. Yeah. But they were. Sorry, off soapbox now. DC is still cool, even though the movies stink, okay? I mean, they don't stink, but they're not for everyone. They're not as wide-reaching as the Marvel. We can all agree with that. The Marvel movies are much more wider audience, much more consistent, much better crafted pieces of media. I agree with all that. I'm just saying, DC is cool too, okay? Don't hate on DC so much. Sorry, I'm done.
Are you? Okay.
I'll make a whole blog post about it.
So we do our Between the Studs show every Friday, and we've done this for over a year now, and we've done Marvel, Star Wars, even Friends, all the different Lego themes, and we just kind of break them down and talk about them.
Yeah.
We have not done DC yet, and Justin's like, "Hey, you think we could do DC this week?"
Bugging him, yeah.
Hey, you think we can do DC yet?
If you ever need a third for that, I'd love to join in.
We would, because we're concerned that we wouldn't know all the little ins and outs.
Sure.
Like, I know a little bit, Chris knows a little bit.
There are so many.
I don't know them all, but I think between the three of us,
we could cover it.
Yeah.
That's what, when you come back, let us know.
I'd say we could do it today, but I think the sun's starting to set out there.
You still need to shop. Oh, by the way, that's a good segue. What are you looking for today?
Yeah, so we met a couple weeks ago at Brick Fair, Alabama, and I mentioned that I'm really into Lego promotional stuff. And the reason I'm into that is not only do I like the historical and rarity element of it, but admittedly I do kind of have all the like shelf level stuff. You know, I've got every Marvel set, I've got almost every DC set, all complete with box. So I really am looking for stuff that is harder to get and not as out there. And so I really love the promotional stuff. And Chris mentioned that there might be a little bit here, so I'll be kind of hunting through the store. We're going to take a look in the back. We're going to take a look in the basement. We are going to dig. I'm not putting gloves on, though, because I like the dust and the grime. I love that stuff. So we're going to be digging today and find what we can find. And I'm hoping to fill up my car to the brim with weird, rare promotional stuff.
I was going to say, you came to the right place.
I sure did.
This is the place for that stuff. And we won't say what it is because you want to save that for your channel.
Well, I haven't bought it yet, so we don't even know. Who knows what we're going to find today, you know? So
awesome. So,
yeah, it's going to be great.
All right, so this is the point in the show where we say, go ahead, plug yourself if you'd like to.
Yeah, there we go. Well, I'm Jonathan with MiniSuperHeroes Today. There's the logo you can look for. And you can find me on YouTube right here, TikTok and Instagram, all the same name. I do try to reply to everybody. A core principle in my life that I hope I can pass on to you. A mentor taught me that anybody that takes time out for you, at least initially, they deserve reciprocal attention. And so, when people come to me and they leave a comment on a video, a post, they DM me or something. Again, there are only so many hours in the day, so I can't get to everybody all the time, but I do try to respond to everybody and, kind of share this hobby that we get to share together. Of course, it's awesome to be here at Atlanta Brick Co., and I brought you guys both gifts. So these are official Mini Superheroes Today bricks that's got my logo on them.
Awesome.
So there's one of each for you guys.
Very cool.
And I'll leave a handful of them here at the store. So if anybody comes into the store and mentions that they saw this video and watched it to this point, you guys can give them one. So I'll leave a handful for that. And thanks to everybody that's made it this far in the video. It's been awesome.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
and
my
thank
pleasure.
you again for coming on the show and talking to us.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
It was
Thank you so
fascinating.
much for having me, guys. I so appreciate it. Thank you.
Don't forget to comment, share, like, and subscribe. All those things YouTubers say. You know the drill by now. We are available as a regular audio podcast on all your favorite podcasting thingies. So go ahead and check us. All the places. We're there. You can't escape us. So we will see you guys very soon. Have a great day.